Alright folks, so we're back with another example of translating a situation or story into symbols with an equation. And so in this situation we have Karen and Jalen saving some money. And Karen currently has $15,000 and continues to save $1,000 every month. And we see that Jalen here has $12,000 but saves $1,300 every month. So let's create an equation representing this situation. And I think it makes the most sense to represent this with two equations. So how about we represent an equation for Jalen to see how much money he has, and an equation for Karen to see how much money she has. So what I think makes the most sense is to use K for Karen's money and J for Jalen's money. So I'm going to set up my statements like so. We'll use this magenta. We're going to say let K, and I'll use big K, equal what? Well, let's say, now depending on what you say your variable is, it's gonna impact what your equation would be, and we could talk about that later. But I'm gonna say let K equal the amount of money, and remember to include units. It's super important to include units. The amount of money in dollars that Karen has. And I'm going to say that to let J equal the amount of money that Jalen has. So the amount of money that Jalen has. Again, in dollars as well. Okay, so I think it makes sense. And this might look familiar because this looks like it's going to be a linear function, or these equations are going to look linear because you start off with some amount and you add the same amount every time. I think that should be pretty clear. So that's where we can see kind of what we've learned before coming back into play here. So let's see. Karen, at the moment, has $15,000. And we know that she earns $1,000 every month. So what stays the same? Well, what stays the same is how much she currently has, right? At this moment in time, she has $15,000. That won't change. But she's going to keep adding on and on and on and on. So I think if we think back to the way we thought out the previous example up here with the pizza slices, I can do a similar thing for Karen and Jalen's money here. So I'm going to drop this down here. So remember, K, big K right here, this is in dollars, remember. So where does Karen's money come from? Well, it comes from money that she currently has, plus the money she puts in. So plus the money she will, or the money she will save. The money she will save, we'll say. And by the way, this is going to be the same for Jalen, or very similar for Jalen as well. Well, we know that Karen currently has, she currently has $15,000, and we don't need the parentheses here, but I'm just going to leave them there so it's very clear where it's coming from. $15,000. And the money she will save. So we know she saves $1,000 every month. How much money will she save then? Well, that depends on how far in the future we look. And so it's going to depend on how many months have passed. If that's the case, then I think this is what it's going to look like. It's going to be $1,000 per month, we could say. So I could say per month times the number of months. And we want to be really specific here. The number of months from now, we'll say. Because remember, she currently has $15,000. So number of months from now, very specifically. It's not months from the beginning of time, or not months since, starting later. It's from now. So I'll say, I'm going to emphasize that. Say number of months from now. I think it makes sense then for this to be another variable because we don't know in this situation how many months we're looking forward. So I'm going to have to move this one more time. I think we're going to have to introduce a new variable then, and I'm going to call that M. Okay, so I'm going to do that and say that let m, little m, I'll say, equal the number of months from now. Okay, and so we can now write an equation for Karen, which will say k, and so m is right here. That is m. K is equal to 15,000 plus 1,000 m. Now I don't have to put all the units in there because I've laid out what all the variables mean, so I know what everything means. Okay, but that's why it is important to lay out what the variables stand for, because otherwise the person that's reading this might not know. If you do a similar thing for Jalen, I'm going to kind of fast forward this, so you should pause it here and see what your equation is, and then come back and check. And I'm going to assume that you just did that. And our equation for Jalen will be J is equal to, let's see, I believe you put in $12,000. Let me double check here. Yeah, $12,000, and saves $1,300 a month. So that's going to be plus 1,300 M. Now notice here, even though that these two variables represent different things, the J and the K, one represents Jalen's amount and one represents Karen's amount, the M, the months, is the same, has the same meaning for each equation. Okay? So thanks for watching. Hopefully this helped you get a little bit more practice with translating a situation or a story into an equation. And again, now we can solve a bunch of problems. We could ask ourselves, how much money does Jalen have in 5 years, in 10 years? Or maybe when do they have the same amount of money? That's definitely a question that we would be possibly interested in. Alrighty? So now we can do that, and we will do that in a future video. Alrighty? So thanks for watching.